Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to another live stream here on the channel. Hopefully you're all having a fantastic Wednesday so far. Welcome everyone in the stream. We've got a lot of people in here and a lot of people chatting, so not going to welcome each individual person this time. Just welcome everyone as a whole. Welcome everybody who is chatting, and if you are just sitting in the background and not chatting, welcome. Glad to see you in the stream. All right, let's go ahead and jump on into this. I'm going to just check around. We should be good to go. Make sure this is... Ooh, that is not good. Got to change that to a level 2 out of 5 threat right there. So there you go. How to fix that? I guess I heard a little bit too quick on stream. I was busy talking to Lucky, not really checking my overlays like I should have. But yeah, we're going to be covering and talking about the threat for significant severe weather today, mainly in the form of large hail and isolated significant damaging winds. And we'll also be talking about and covering the potential for a few tornadoes, maybe even 1 or 2 strong that could occur today back out towards Iowa, Missouri, back into Oklahoma, maybe even in northern Texas, and a secondary tornado threat with an MCV back up there into Ohio and northwestern Pennsylvania. So quite a lot of people under the gun for severe weather, but thankfully we're not looking at a day like yesterday or a day like what we had on Monday or a day like what we'll probably have on Friday. But today is still a pretty good chance for some significant severe weather and a good chance for a few tornadoes, maybe 1 strong. So let's go ahead and dive into this. I'll go ahead and refresh this so that way I can see the current watches and warnings. And we actually did get a new severe warning here for our storm in central Iowa. A little area to watch for some spin here. These are just going to be little regions to watch. I'm not really concerned about both of these for a tornado threat because I'm pretty confident both of these storms are north of the primary warm front. At least this one is north of the primary warm front. So I feel like that one is a very little chance for a tornado threat with that. This one might be like right around the warm front vicinity. We'll check that in a bit on meso analysis here in about 10 minutes. When the new one comes in, so we'll be able to tell if that may have a tornado threat with it or not in the future. We do have some storms firing up here a little bit early out here in northeastern Oklahoma. We weren't really expecting initiation out here until closer to 4 o'clock, maybe 4:30, 5 o'clock. Some of our models were as late as 5 o'clock on initiation, but we actually got initiation out here, I believe, about 2:30 Eastern. So considerably early than some of our models, although the HRRR was one of the models that initiated closer to 2 o'clock. So the HRRR actually was correct with that. A little bit more of an early initiation threat out here across Oklahoma. Only one severe storm so far in Oklahoma, northeastern Oklahoma, just north of Tulsa. We'll be monitoring that for mainly a wind and hail threat. Tornado threat will ramp up later on this afternoon. Not really going to get much of a tornado threat here over the next couple of hours. Really not until, probably 6 o'clock, right around 6 o'clock, just like it's been for the last 2 days, is when that tornado threat starts to ramp up. But before 6 o'clock, our best chance for a tornado is going to be with this MCV here moving across northern Ohio. However, they've opted with a severe thunderstorm watch. So you're in a 5%. You're in a 5% tornado risk, but they actually put you in a severe watch. So that should show you that confidence in a tornado up here is quite fairly low. Wouldn't rule out a brief tornado or two, but definitely not much of a tornado threat. Proxy, you're not late whatsoever. I started literally 5-6 minutes ago. Thank you. Use the force for a $10 donation. I greatly appreciate it. Kicking it off with a daily donation. Thank you for always looking at my location for storms. You're the best man. Appreciate that. Use the force. Glad to see you back in here, and appreciate the $10 donation. I'll get it out of the way right now, especially this is directed towards Tracy. Friday is still a significant threat for severe weather. If you do end up downplaying it and continue to downplay it, you will be timed out. I'm not about to be, going crazy here and have an uncontrollable chat. If you downplay a risk, I'm just going to time you out. Because you guys, I've seen it in chat. Yes, the crashing cold front is helping to downtrend the tornado threat, but it is still a notable threat for severe weather on Friday. It is still a day 3 enhanced risk. And at that, it is still a day 3 hatched enhanced risk for severe weather. So it is still going to be a significant day on Friday. Don't downplay it. And especially don't linger downplaying it. I mean, Tracy, you've been talking about the downplaying of Friday for the last 20 to 30 minutes ever since I put up this live stream. I think you've gotten your point across. It's downtrended. We know. I think we know. I'm going to move my mic a little away since this was the settings I had for last night when I was losing my voice a lot. So yeah, we've got a few severe thunderstorm warnings here in northeastern Indiana, northwestern Illinois, or what? Not northwestern Illinois, northwest Ohio. Talked about Illinois so much, my bad. Northeastern Indiana, northwest Ohio. We've got 2 severe thunderstorm warnings. One of those has just expired, and the other one will expire very soon. And we also are going to be watching these severe warnings in central Iowa and into eastern Nebraska as well. But again, the main threat is just going to be some damaging winds and some hail there. Not going to be too significant of a threat for tornadoes until after dinner time, after about, like I said, 5-6 o'clock. A new severe thunderstorm warning. I believe this is just a disk extension. I believe this is our new severe thunderstorm warning up here in northeastern Oklahoma for 1-inch hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds. So we'll continue to watch that closely as storms progress off to the northeast. How's Tulsa looking today? Will we get in a watch of some sort? Brooklyn, you had a tornado warning yesterday. I was going to go live for it, but it was so late to the point where I was literally about to get off and go to bed, so I opted not to. But there was a confirmed tornado very close, very close to Catman's house. And I still haven't heard from Catman. I texted him last night when he got into that tornado warning and actually had a debris signature very close to his house last night at like 11 p.m. or close to midnight. So very significant threat for tornadoes yesterday across the Tulsa area late last night. And I think one was very close to you too, Brooklyn. I didn't see a debris signature on the tornado warning for your area, but it was definitely a very real tornado threat with those tornado warned storms. And thankfully, the National Weather Service in Tulsa was on top of it last night, warning every QLCS threat with that line. So here is our outlook for today's severe weather threat. We've got a ginormous slight risk for severe weather, a huge level 2 out of 5 for severe weather. And they didn't add an enhanced risk, and I have to say I agree with that. Late last night into this morning, I was kind of thinking maybe an enhanced for hail back into eastern Oklahoma, but storms might grow upscale too quickly, so we may not see a very, very large hail threat, but still, hailstones could be upwards of 2.5, 3 inches in diameter being possible in eastern Oklahoma, but I don't think it warrants a enhanced risk, so the SPC held off on that enhanced. We'll see if they go enhanced at 4 o'clock, but I don't think they will. The main threat today is going to be tornadoes. Tornadoes will be one of the main threats today, a very large 5 significant risk for tornadoes across Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, northwest Arkansas, Oklahoma, northern Texas, southeastern Kansas, and then also back up into northern Ohio, northeastern Indiana, northwestern Pennsylvania, southwestern New York, and southeastern Michigan. And our next threat right after that is going to be very large hail as well. That's our second highest threat for today. Actually, I think large hail is probably a bigger concern than tornadoes. So our main threat is probably large hail, upwards of 3 inches in diameter, if any storms can be discrete, which we already had 2.5 inches in diameter in Iowa this morning. Damaging winds is probably going to be a bit more of our least concern here. Just some isolated 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, maybe up to 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts possible. I wouldn't fully rule out a gust up to 75 miles per hour like the title says if we do get a line segment late tonight in northeastern Oklahoma. But it doesn't seem like wind will be our biggest concern today. And then damaging winds, like I said, same thing there. Just like what I reiterated, tornadoes, that's going to be a problem. So main threat today is hail, followed by tornadoes, followed by damaging winds. And then we go into tomorrow. We called this out. I mentioned we'll probably see a slight risk at some point in New York if we continue to see the trends that we were seeing last night into today. And we did continue to see those trends, and thus they upgraded to a slight risk tomorrow, level 2 out of 5 for severe weather here. You can see we do have a small risk for a tornado. A brief tornado can't be ruled out. And I wouldn't be surprised if this gets hatched, actually, because the environment out here, if we do get semi-discrete supercells, actually might be capable of producing a brief, strong tornado. Damaging winds will be the main concern tomorrow, though, upwards of 70 miles per hour. And then we also could see some isolated large hail, upwards of about 2 inches in diameter out here in New York. Then we can move on into day 3. This is the big day that we've heard so much about. Yesterday, I was mentioning the potential for a day 3 moderate if we saw trends continue to worsen, which trends actually got a whole lot better. We actually are now trending a lot more towards a crashing cold front, like the GFS was starting to show with its later model runs last night, and that continued into the model runs this morning. And it doesn't look like our tornado threat will be, as high as what the SPC was originally thinking. They dropped the wording for strong tornadoes expected, and they dropped also, they didn't mention any notable chances for discrete supercells in their discussion. They really mention a QLCS, and they do say if any supercells can develop, an all hazards risk will be accompanied with it further to the south and ahead of the QLCS, but not as high of confidence as what we had yesterday for the potential of, a more notable threat for tornadoes here for your day 3 outlook. We still do have a large hatched area here all the way from northern Texas into western Oklahoma, into eastern Oklahoma, all the way back up here into southern Minnesota and southwestern Wisconsin. So that is a very large hatched risk for overall severe weather. The main hazard right now looks to be damaging winds and very large hail. If we see any discrete supercells, we could see large hail potentially near or in excess of 3 inches in diameter. If we do see any discrete supercells ahead of the line. But the main threat outside of that will be a very significant line of damaging winds that will likely form along the cold front and dry line in northern Oklahoma, all the way back up into probably southern Minnesota and southwestern Wisconsin. So we're looking at a very significant large line for damaging winds and embedded tornadoes, including embedded strong tornadoes. And any storms that form in front of the line will have a risk for strong tornadoes, very large hail, potentially around or in excess of 3 inches in diameter. And then also we'll have that risk for a strong tornado with any discrete storms that form, again, once again in front of that QLCS line. And we'll look at some model runs in just a minute. I also want to just show you Saturday's threat. They haven't added an enhanced risk just yet because, well, our models are quite frankly still quite all over the place for Saturday's threat. But if they do add an enhanced risk at some point, there's a very high chance that it's going to be for damaging winds alone. I don't see a very significant threat for tornadoes on Saturday, and I don't see a very significant threat for large hail either. It actually looks like this downtrended quite a bit. Saturday looks like it fell apart almost completely on these new runs. Yeah, it looks a whole lot less potent. Like, your instability is considerably less than what your runs were yesterday. And it's a lot further to the south, too. So I don't know if we're going to be talking about a severe threat even into southeastern Michigan. It looks like our main area for severe weather might actually be kind of towards the eastern side of this slight risk, back out in here, and probably more into Pennsylvania and New York than what the SPC is currently highlighting. But generally somewhere around that yellow area is going to be our main risk for severe weather. If they do end up upgrading probability, like I said, it's probably strictly going to be for damaging winds. That's the most likely chance for an enhanced risk. If we see an upgrade, it will be for most likely strictly damaging winds. So let's go to our models for Friday, because I know there's been a bunch of discussion all around that. Let's go ahead and push this on out. So this is all the way out to Friday, and you can see Friday still looks very significant on our RRFSA model run. I think this might be... Now, honestly, I don't think this model run is that bad. I honestly don't disagree with this model run that much, and you can see how we're going to start with semi-discrete. We will have to watch the dry line back here in northern Texas and far west southwestern Oklahoma. And then you can also see our rapid development of our QLCS threat here in eastern Kansas, west-northwest Missouri, and then also back up all the way into Iowa and southern Wisconsin. There is a question on how far north this threat will go. It may go even into far northern Wisconsin, or it may stop in southwestern or south central Wisconsin. We'll just have to see how far north that threat for severe weather goes on Friday. But for sure, a very widespread threat for severe weather, likely significant all the way from central Minnesota all the way down until at least western Oklahoma, maybe even into Texas. And then that extends all the way back up here into, like I said, maybe northern Wisconsin, maybe central Wisconsin. We'll have to see. The northern extent of that is uncertain. It all depends on how strong our trough is and how much instability that trough can lift up into Minnesota and Wisconsin. But again, your main threat, I mean, this looks pretty rough here. Again, definitely more of a linear mode is what we've been trending to recently. This model run doesn't show any really discrete storms in front of that line, thankfully. You could see that dry line firing in Oklahoma would be a big problem if we actually see that dry line fire in western Oklahoma going into central Oklahoma. So again, a big threat for severe weather, very, very much present across Kansas and Missouri, into Iowa, and then back into some portions of eastern Minnesota, maybe into western and central Wisconsin. Exactly how far east does that risk go? All right, yeah, you could see they don't have that slight risk all the way up into northern Wisconsin yet. They do have the marginal way up there into northern Wisconsin, but not that yellow slight risk just yet, all the way up into northwestern Wisconsin. That enhanced risk stops at north central Oklahoma, so it doesn't include OKC for Friday. just yet. I mean, right now that enhanced risk is like perfect placement at the moment. That's like a perfect enhanced risk placement according to our model runs right now. No watches issued for Oklahoma just yet. I'm not sure if they've put out an MCD for Oklahoma yet. They very well could have whilst I was yapping about these upcoming severe threats. Let's go to, let's see, MCDs. Okay, they did down here for Oklahoma and Texas. Did I mention that? I forgot if I mentioned that mesoscale discussion. I remember saying it out, but I don't know if I mentioned that live on stream. But yeah, 80% chance of a watch being issued. This could be a severe watch or a tornado watch. A convective initiation, that's the word I'm looking for there, has been noted across northeastern Oklahoma and north central Texas within a lower level warm air advection regime ahead of a dry line, which is located across western Oklahoma and is surging eastward. Current mesoanalysis, which we have to look at that, I already forgot to look at that, shows a mid-level trough overspreading the southern plains, providing deep layer ascent. So more widespread convection should develop within the next few hours. Ahead of the dry line from central Oklahoma to northern Texas, 7 to 8 Celsius kilometer mid-level lapse rates, which means I imagine storms are probably quite a bit elevated out here. High temperatures, low dew points. Dew points spreading into the upper 60s, which is actually pretty high dew points, yielding upwards of 2,500 instability per the 18Z mesoanalysis, which we have the 19Z mesoanalysis now. I'm just going to skim through all this. We'll be here all day if I keep reading it. Long-lived supercells may pose the threat for a tornado, but the confidence in tornado potential is overall lower. Nevertheless, overall severe coverage is expected to increase and be widespread enough to warrant a watch issuance, which will likely be issued in the next couple hours. We should see a watch within the next 33 minutes across this red area. And then here's another watch, which I believe that's, or MCD. I believe that's our highest MCD so far today. Actually, this one is. When did they issue that one? That is a, I think that's a special MCD. When did that one get issued? 35 minutes ago, we got a special MCD for the potential of 2 to 3.5 inch hail, the potential for a tornado, maybe even one strong, and 55 to 70 mile an hour winds out here across central Iowa. I do think Friday has the potential to still go moderate. I'm a whole lot less confident today than I am yesterday, or than I was yesterday, since now it looks more like a crashing cold front. So if we do see a moderate for Friday, it's probably going to be because we see an uptrend, because the risk that we have now, at least from what I've went over on the model runs and seen, I doubt that would actually warrant a moderate risk. We should see a day 3 outlook at any moment, and they will almost definitely be keeping that enhanced risk. I think we saw a preliminary rating of EF4. What? I saw, the only tornado I saw that got rated was a EF2 so far. We saw the EF2 rated from the other day west of Kansas City. And then from yesterday, I actually don't see any ratings on their official website yet. But I did see a tweet from the National Weather Service, one of the National Weather Services here, somewhere across the risk area yesterday. I saw an EF2 was confirmed. but I don't see that right now. That's because I didn't save it. I could look up, let's see. See if I can find it. Make Not me. I muted me on accident. My bad. Yeah, EF2 from just west of Kansas City from the other day. But I'm trying to find the one from yesterday. Aha. Is this it? I think that's southeastern. Yeah, this area. One of the tornadoes out here northwest of Milwaukee were rated EF2 from yesterday. That's the only rating that I see from yesterday's event so far. I don't see any other ratings. And there's your tornado watch for Oklahoma. Tornado watch now for Oklahoma. Let's go and disable all this so we can see that watch. There you go. Tornado watch now from Ardmore, around the Ardmore to Oklahoma area, all the way back up into Springfield, Missouri, and even into central Missouri. A couple tornadoes possible, tennis ball size tail possible, and 70-mile-an-hour winds possible. Notice how all of those are possible, not likely or expected. They are all possible, which means confidence isn't extraordinarily high in all those hazards. And as you can see from the probabilities, 40, 20, 50, 20, 50, 40, none of these are high probabilities. So the highest threat is definitely large hail out here in Oklahoma, followed by, according to this watch probability, damaging winds and then tornadoes. So if you are in that purple area, I'll go to refresh it so we can make sure. Yeah, that entire purple area there from south central Oklahoma through northeastern Oklahoma into southeast Kansas, northwest Arkansas, and southwestern Missouri. Now's your time to prepare before watches and warnings start being issued. We've already seen 2 severe warnings that are still active right now north of Tulsa. So before those tornado warnings start being issued, if they do get issued today, now's your time to prepare. Make sure you know where your safe spot is. Make sure you've that safe spot is all geared up and ready to go. Make sure you've got whatever you need to have in that safe spot. Make sure it's there. Make sure your family knows where that safe spot is. And of course, make sure you know where that safe spot is, and make sure your phones are charged, your devices are all charged. Make sure you also have your weather radio. If you have one, make sure that's plugged in and batteries are in it, and that's all good and ready to go too. Yeah, like I said, the intense or violent tornado that happened out there in Wisconsin hasn't been rated yet. I haven't seen any official ratings on that, but I have seen catastrophic damage from a house, a well-built home, which would definitely put it in the intense category for sure. That's based off of there's actually a very good analysis. People on Twitter, believe it or not, I follow 2 people who are in meteorology who do all sorts of analysis on tornado damage, and both of them are thinking that damage probably will be rated intense. Friday did not uptrend, thankfully. Friday has downtrended a little bit for the tornado threat thus far. But Friday is still likely going to be a significant day for severe weather. There's your new day 3 outlook. This is not the new one. The new one looks like they have expanded the enhanced into Wisconsin. So the enhanced risk now has been expanded into far western Oklahoma, It has been expanded also into southwest Wisconsin and into even more into northwestern Illinois on the new day 3 outlook, which I will show you that when we get it. When we get it on the official SPC site. I get it early, but I can't show it to you guys until it gets on the SPC site or on this radar app here. Well, here's the new outlook. It's over. This is literally, if you click the link, this is the new day 3 outlook. Huh, something looks a little bit off here. So here's the probability for the actual day 3 outlook. And you can see they've expanded that enhanced risk now into southwestern Wisconsin, into also further into northwestern Illinois, and also further back into southwestern, west central Oklahoma. See if they change the wording on this. Oh, well, there you go. Right off the bat, few tornadoes, possibly strong. So already mentioning strong tornadoes on a day 3 outlook. And also, look at that. Widespread severe thunderstorms are expected from parts of the southern plains into the middle and upper Mississippi Valley vicinity Friday into Friday night. A few tornadoes, possibly strong, very large hail and damaging winds will be possible. Let's see. Model trends, which have consistently shown a cold front pushing further east and south than previously modeled, which is thus results in lower confidence for the greatest threat and degree of tornado potential. Just like we were mentioning, the tornado threat kind of seems like it's downtrended so far compared to yesterday, but they still mention a couple tornadoes possible. So yeah, even if the cold front surges faster than currently indicated, a widespread damaging wind threat could occur. Trends will continue to be monitored as the event nears. That sounds like quite low confidence. That sounds like a pretty low confidence compared to yesterday's outlook. Shows you that literally from just not but 16 some hours ago, confidence has gotten a lot lower. In the tornado side of things. Damaging wind threat is, relatively the same as what we were thinking for Friday yesterday. The hail threat, relatively the same. But that tornado threat, if your cold front pushes through quicker than modeled and continues to trend the way it's trending, that cold front can really, really decrease your tornado threat as a whole. Is this a very old report? An hour ago? What? Oh, this isn't a report. This is a survey. National Weather Service Storm Survey found an EF1 tornado damage southwest of Endeavor. Brief tornado had 50-yard wide path. Total destruction of barn and outhouse buildings. Multiple trees, or multiple snapped and topped trees. I wonder if we've got any more of those on here. I didn't know those show up on Weatherwise. That's very awesome. See if there's any more that we spot. Of course not. Yeah, but that's from yesterday's storms. So, yeah, look at that. That is the storm survey, and yesterday we had 2 tornado reports right here. So it lines up, right there. I believe we had a confirmed tornado warning or 2 yesterday around that area. Let's change that back to 1-hour reports. So that's a storm survey, meaning the NWS has found EF1 damage so far up here in central Wisconsin, that little red area. That red upside down triangle. StormNet uptrended for Friday. I mean, yeah. Was it a crazy uptrend or just a little bit? Uptrended compared to what? Because if it uptrended compared to yesterday, that's insane. If it uptrended compared to this morning, yeah, big difference. It uptrended compared to this morning, not compared to yesterday. So, oddly enough, the hotspot on StormNet, which has been very accurate, is actually west central Illinois, and that hotspot actually continues potentially even towards Caleb on Friday, which is quite ironic because most models that I've seen shows more of like the hotspot really being like eastern Kansas and maybe eastern central to eastern Iowa. Let me see. Here's the Canadian, which I've really been liking the high-res Canadian recently. Let's see if that kind of shows. So, like I said, StormNet is kind of like painting the highest Tor threat, like right in there. Kind of like western Illinois, right in that vicinity. Roughly, very roughly. And, you know, really, this model run, I would still think on the Canadian model run, your highest tornado threat. Look at, wow. I couldn't even English, that shocked me so much. Look at the three prefrontal supercells on the high-res Canadian right here. Like, what? Especially that one in Oklahoma would probably be the biggest problem. You can check StormNet on Twitter. That's the quickest way to do it. Just type on Twitter at capital S and then Storm. So the Storm, S in Storm is capitalized. No space, net WX. So just capital Storm, capital net, and then capital W, and then just a lowercase x on Twitter. That's the fastest way to check it. You can also go to the website stormnet.ai as well. But the quickest way is to just check it from Twitter. So, yeah, like I said, StormNet is highlighting mainly Western Illinois. But our trough looks really good. I could definitely see this is going to trend one way or the other. You know? It's either going to trend towards the crashing cold front like it's been trending, and that's going to screw up the tornado threat, or it's going to trend closer to like what StormNet is starting to hint at, to where we actually get a pretty good tornado threat like what we were originally thinking for Friday yesterday. Because your trough doesn't look bad. There's a whole heck of a lot of flow here. So that's a whole lot of forcing. The problem is it too much forcing, and is your cold front going to kill the whole threat? Because like the Canadian here, the Canadian has a very slow cold front. Look at the difference. The GFS 12Z has definitely trended towards a crashing cold front. I'll show you that on here too. See how it's trended, that cold front in Nebraska from 2 days ago's model runs here. It's trended towards a quicker cold front. And that means less time for storms to be in the open warm sector and become, you know, severe and tornadic. And let's see if the Canadian high-res run, well, can't go back, so we're going to have to do this one. This is the low-res Canadian run. You can see that is also trended towards a quicker cold front, but it's not, it doesn't seem like it's as fast as like the GFS. The GFS 12Z seems to be a very fast crashing cold front. The Euro, I believe, trends more towards the GFS, less in favor with the Canadian. And then here's the NAM, which is always a linear model, or almost always you're going to see a linear mode on the NAM. And you know, that's honestly not that linear for the NAM. I was expecting it to go from nothing to a full line in a second in one frame. But it actually takes, 3 to 6 hours for things to grow fully upscale. Here's the NAM 3K, and it's full-blown linear. Like I said, this is probably one of the more worst model runs out there. A pretty rough, inaccurate model run. And model as a whole. Not the best amount of wind shear. Your wind shear actually gets weaker as you go towards sunset for some reason. You can see your wind shear is actually strongest midday, mid-afternoon. We're talking closer to 1 o'clock. Wonder if the trough is slower on the NAM. Check the lower level jet. No major difference. I don't think like the NAM is an outlier or anything. Then we also have the wrap model, which tends to be fairly good as well. I don't know. Definitely a widespread severe weather threat, but that tornado threat I'm very much uncertain on. What's the probabilities of the watch for me? Here's the probabilities. For tornadoes, 40-20. For wind, 50-20. For hail, 50-40. So overall, the chance for severe weather in the watch area is high. Main threat is definitely hail, followed by wind, followed by tornadoes. That tornado threat is really going to be tonight, and by the time that wind shear ramps up tonight, storms may already be, linear and a full-blown mess. Got the 18Z HRRR in here. And, like I said, it really isn't doing HRRR. The newer runs haven't been doing good with that convection that's already fired. But your tornado threat doesn't look very high in Oklahoma. It's only if storms can stay discrete. Because you can see this. Like, this is a pretty good environment up here. And maybe even some spots in towards east central Oklahoma. But the thing is, these storms go almost instantly clustered to linear, decreasing the tornado threat. But this model run does show a discrete storm in eastern Oklahoma, and that would be where your tornado threat is highest if we see discrete storms close to sunset in Oklahoma. And then Iowa's threat doesn't start popping off here till 5, 6 o'clock either, so... Yeah, and we'll probably see a few tornadoes up there. The biggest problem up here in Iowa is the lower level wind shear. We really don't get a lot of good wind shear until 8 o'clock. So that tornado threat, it's just mistimed. Our best amount of wind shear is mistimed with our highest threat for storms. Your storms are really semi-discrete from about 5 o'clock Eastern till 7 o'clock Eastern, and then 8 o'clock they start growing more upscale, and that's when your wind shear comes in. I do want to go back to over here. The HRRR has consistently shown, and I mean consistently shown, supercells in eastern Ohio. I mean, you could see here, timing is different on each one of these, but pretty much all the newer HRRR runs ever since like the 1112Z this morning consistently has shown some sort of supercell somewhere in Ohio going into western PA. But I don't know about that. I feel like that could just be a HRRR thing, like it was yesterday in Illinois where the HRRR had a huge supercell going through Chicago and it never happened. Chicago did get a line of damaging winds, but no supercell. Toward possible severe thunderstorm warning here for Bowling Green in northwestern Ohio. Just make sure you're away from doors and windows. You'll be fine. Topeka, Kansas be in the clear today. Let me go see. You might be in the clear. You might be far enough west. Yeah, I think you're good. I would watch Friday big time. I think you're far enough west to where storms are going to fire either over you or to the east and then intensify. Watch Friday. Friday could be very rough in Topeka, according to the SPC in our latest runs. So for today, you're in a level 1 out of 5. For Friday, you're already in a level 3 out of 5. Horrible 3. I can't draw 3s anymore. Milwaukee, yeah, Milwaukee, y'all's day was yesterday. Today, Milwaukee is in the risk for some severe weather, but I don't expect much out there. Your time frame in Milwaukee would be late tonight if you see anything at all. But I think, yeah, late tonight towards 9 o'clock. And then Friday, it looks like storms are probably going to weaken before they get to you on Friday, too. Ontario, Canada, you're probably fine. We're not expecting anything crazy out in Canada. So you're right on the border. That was crazy yesterday, right? It was pretty crazy for you yesterday. There was tornado warnings near your area late last night. And you could see there's definitely some thunder, so there's some loud storms probably to your south right now. And that's going to continue throughout the day, but I don't think it's going to get that bad out there. You are in the main risk for severe weather, but so far this risk has actually been underperforming. Especially tornado-wise, this risk is definitely underperforming right now. And you do want to watch Saturday. There's uncertainty on Saturday. You're in the risk for severe weather on Saturday already. But it looks like, you're right now you're in that risk. But I think things are probably going to trend to be worse to your east. Even though you're in the main area right now for Saturday, I think things are going to trend to your east. Kansas City, you're going to have to watch tonight. Storms are going to fire in proximity to Kansas City. Could be on top of Kansas City. Could be to the east of Kansas City. Right about 5 o'clock Central. So definitely want to watch in Kansas City. If those storms do fire, the biggest threat will be up to 2-inch hail, up to 70-mile-an-hour winds, and wouldn't rule out a brief tornado somewhere in Missouri. I doubt that would be over Kansas City, but there's definitely the risk for tornadoes, especially when you get east of Kansas City. Ardmore, Oklahoma, you're in that tornado watch. But I think the worst of the storms will stay to your north for now. You're going to have to watch towards later tonight, like 7 o'clock. Somewhere between 5 and 7 is going to be your main event in southern Oklahoma. But the worst storms in Oklahoma should stay to the northeast of you. Ooh, look at that. New model run here, 18Z Friday on the HRRR. Very significant environment in Wisconsin for strong tornadoes. Very primed environment up here. And this environment would probably just get more favorable with time since it's, only 1 p.m. But that cold front is fast, man. It's definitely, the HRRR has a very fast cold front. Look at your cold front. Your cold front is already right here. This is your cold front. It actually might be more south than that. This is your cold front right here on the HRRR. Try to draw that the best I can. And then look at the difference on the GFS. The GFS, the cold front, is still roughly back here. So much quicker cold front on the HRRR. Much, much quicker. Let's go to northeastern Oklahoma here. Pretty good looking storm. Let's go to meso analysis. We're going to get a new one in 20 minutes anyways, but we have to look at it because we haven't looked at it today. Plenty of instability across Oklahoma. And you guys are very familiar with instability in Oklahoma. This is the fuel in the atmosphere for thunderstorms. And anything generally over 1,000 is favorable for thunderstorms. Yeah, you've got 3,500 out here in Oklahoma. So you are definitely favorable for thunderstorms. Now let's look at the spin in the atmosphere. This is the lower level spin in the atmosphere. Generally, anything over 100 is favorable for tornadoes, and anything over 150 is favorable for a strong tornado threat. And you can see you've got some stronger wind shear here in eastern Oklahoma, and that wind shear is relatively weak back towards central Oklahoma. So these storms aren't going to be rotating that much now, but as we go, towards this is about 5 o'clock Eastern, so 4 Central. You can see that wind shear starts to improve as we go closer to 5, 6 Central. We start to see more of that 150, 200, 0 to 1 kilometer shear in eastern Oklahoma. So right around sunset or just before sunset, that's going to be your best threat for tornadoes because that's when your cape is still going to be present. You can see your cape's not really going to go down in 2 to 4 hours. Your cape is going to go down after the sun sets. So probably just before the sun sets will be the best threat for tornadoes there in Oklahoma. Especially if storms are discrete. Wow. How does it feel west of Tulsa, Oklahoma right now? It is 13 degrees west of Tulsa, Oklahoma right now, apparently. You go from 13 degrees to 79 degrees. Talk about a cold front. Obviously, that's a bug, but that's a crazy one right there. It's like the bug that we saw yesterday that I wasn't able to show you guys because it fixed itself. But there you go. Apparently 13 degrees west of Tulsa. Sure. That's a glitch. You don't have the best amount of lower level lapse rates. So this is the change in temperature with height. And typically you're going to want out here with all this instability that you have in the day that we have. I'm surprised we don't have like 7 or 8 lower level lapse rates. You really want 6.5 or 7 for tornadoes, and you can see out here we're closer to 6 in eastern Oklahoma, and we're higher on lapse rates further to the west, but we don't have as much instability further to the west, and we don't have pretty much any wind shear further to the west. So our ingredients aren't overlapping that well. Our ingredients aren't overlapping. You have your best wind shears to the east, your best instability is in central Oklahoma, and your best lapse rates is in western Oklahoma. So all that's not aligning in one spot for the greatest severe weather threat. And that's why your supercell composite is only at like a 2 to 4. This line here is 2 supercell composite, all in this area. And then this one here is 4. And typically for a good tornado environment, supercell composite is typically at 8 or greater. For instance, yesterday we had 16 supercell composite out there in southern Wisconsin yesterday, where we saw that, strong to intense tornado. And this right now is at a 4. So that's why your tornado threat not very high out there in Oklahoma. Like I said, though, could see a higher tornado threat just before sunset. We do have a significant severe for large hail in Cherryvale in southeastern Kansas for the next 16 minutes. So make sure you are, make sure you're indoors and away from doors and windows. Man. Rockford, Illinois. Let me go up there, see anything. All right, so you probably had some severe storms. You definitely had some severe storms and tornado warnings around your area yesterday. There is definitely a risk for severe weather today. And it's probably going to be late. Let me go ahead and pull this out here. Yeah, you could see late tonight is your risk for severe weather out here in Illinois after 7 p.m. So what that means is by the time storms roll through your area, there's a pretty good chance they're going to be weaker. So hopefully you don't get much out there. You're in the risk for severe weather, including tornadoes, damaging winds, and large hail. But this model shows storms weakening before they get to you. They're very strong in northern Missouri and southern Iowa, but then they weaken once they get towards northern Illinois. This is a different model run I just wanted to look at. And you can see that also shows storms weakening as they get into northern Illinois. So maybe some rain and thunder tonight. Maybe very isolated damaging winds up to 50, 60 miles per hour. But storms should be dying out by then, by the time they get to you. Very interested to see what the NAM has for Friday. This is for today. Actually has supercell composite values up to 11 out here. Let's go to the NAM 3K. Yeah, I don't know about that. Our threat for severe weather would be higher if we didn't already have storms taking up the environment. So I think the NAM is probably overdoing the potential for tornadoes today. But either way, that environment, you could see storms on this model run are clustered to linear. So even in that case, the tornado threat, even though you have a good environment, the tornado threat should still remain decently low. Definitely wouldn't rule out a few spin-up tornadoes if you do get that line. And the HRRR agrees with some sort of clustered, messy line tonight in southeastern Kansas. Where did my tornado watch go? Somebody took a bite out of it. Somebody took a bite out of your tornado watch. It's still in effect. It's just not rendered in fully on weather-wise. You could see counties, your tornado watch is still fully in effect. So it's still there. It's just a little bit bugged out on weather-wise right now. Let's go to Ohio with mesoanalysis. Let's see the environment in Ohio. Yeah, you could see you're at an 8 supercell composite. See how it changes from these blue colors to this very dark blue color? Now that's showing that this is definitely starting to get more significant here. So we're going to watch that closely to see if any storms can get in that more favorable environment. To see if we end up with a good tornado threat there. But yeah, if you guys haven't already, make sure you hit that like button and share the stream with your family, friends, social media. It greatly helps support the channel. It gets the word out about the threat for severe weather today. We'll also be live for a very long time on a Friday. As for a live stream tomorrow, just for those wondering, I'm kind of split on that. We'll see. We'll see if I do a live stream. It's kind of 50-50 tomorrow, so just make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell set to all. I could go live at any moment, a moment's notice tomorrow. As for the threat tomorrow, it doesn't look impressive. The only area that I'm watching is in New York. These storms, golly, that environment, wow. Like I said, probably going to see a 2 sig tour up there. Random supercell on the HRRR because that's just something the HRRR does for some reason. Saw it yesterday, already seen it today, looking at it tomorrow. What's up with the HRRR just throwing random supercells in front of lines for no reason? But yeah, definitely looking at the risk for spin-up tornadoes embedded inside of a line here. The main threat is large hail up to 1.5 inches, 2 inches in diameter. 60 to 70 mile an hour wind gusts will definitely be a problem. And then I wouldn't rule out a few tornadoes, maybe even one strong, which is why I think the SPC is probably going to upgrade to a 2 sig tour tomorrow. Right now it is a 2% tour, which means any tornadoes that do form tomorrow are likely to be weak. Whereas I think when they add that SIG risk, we'll go up to that risk of a few tornadoes, maybe one strong. Yep, HRRR fired there because it always does. It always fires random supercells. Southwest Missouri, yeah, you are under a tornado watch. Your threat is going to be later today. That watch goes until 9 o'clock local, 10 o'clock Eastern. And your threat is going to be probably very close to when that watch expires. You have an isolated chance for severe storms from now till 7 o'clock, and then a better chance for severe storms once you get closer to 9 o'clock local time. That's when this line could push through. We don't know how strong that line is going to be. The main risk with that line, definitely 50 to 60 mile an hour wind gusts and a tornado or two being possible. The HRRR doesn't have that line very organized, whereas the NAM3K has that line quite well organized. And then for tomorrow, back out here in Missouri, there is the risk definitely for a few strong to severe storms out here in Missouri, southern Missouri, northeast Arkansas, northwest Tennessee, southwest Kentucky. It's a bit more conditional. The HRRR definitely shows a more widespread severe threat, but it is actually a bit more conditional. Let me see if you can see the old NAM model run shows nothing firing there. So if storms do fire, which they could not, the risk for up to 1.5 inch hail, 60 to 70 mile an hour winds, and I wouldn't rule out a brief tornado, but the tornado threat is definitely very, very low out here. So really the main area to watch tomorrow, like I said, conditional threat there in southern Missouri, northeast Arkansas, western Tennessee, southwest Kentucky, maybe southern Illinois. But the main threat to watch tomorrow is definitely going to be back up here in the New England states. Specifically back into western New York, into central New York. And then again, the HRRR being the HRRR fires a random supercell in Vermont, New Hampshire. Goes from central New York to southern Vermont to southern New Hampshire to off the coastline where it dies out. Like I said, that tornado watch is still there, just weather-wise has a bug. But it is 100% still there. There's zero reason for them to cancel that watch, so it's still there. If they did cancel that watch, that's absurd. But like I said, I'm very confident that's a bug. The way you can know is go to the official National Weather Service site, go to the current watches, and you can see that entire area is still under a red box, which is a tornado watch. You can click that tornado watch and go to the counties, and you can see all counties are still highlighted. So it is still in effect, despite what WeatherWise is saying. So again, it's not canceled. We should have gotten an SPC outlook like a couple minutes ago. I must have missed it. I sure did. 10 minutes ago. Let's see if they changed anything. Tor threat still remains. I'm surprised they didn't drop that 5% back up there in Ohio and into Northwest PA, Southwest New York. I'm surprised they didn't drop that. We still have a large 5 sig tornado risk in place here from northern Texas all the way into Iowa. Wind risk still a very, very large 15%, and then hail risk still 2 separate 15%, with the western one still being hatched here along that cold front dry line. Let's see. Elevated supercell ongoing across central Iowa, which, as we know, we've already seen that. Transition to surface-based storms is realized. An increase in the potential for damaging wind gusts and a tornado will exist. New development is also beginning across central Iowa, along with the outflow extending across southwest Iowa, from that supercell. Hail remains the main primary risk with both the ongoing supercell and new development from the outflow extending into southwest Iowa. Tornado warning. Northwest Ohio. There you go. First tornado warning of the day. Didn't expect to see one this soon. That is for Bowling Green. That's the storm we pointed out a while ago. We pointed that out for our Tour Possible tag. I mean, it was probably like 20 minutes ago we pointed that out. So first tornado warning of the day for anywhere in the U.S. for anywhere in the U.S. And this is going to be for Bowling Green in northwestern Ohio. Make sure you go to your safe spot right now, as that is a storm capable of producing a tornado. So please go to your safe spot. Unfortunately, over 46,000 people inside of that risk. That is an absurd amount of people. Gracious. How'd they even warn that in a huge radar hole? Good question. It's radar indicated, but I'm assuming maybe they just used the radar site here in Fort Wayne, back towards Fort Wayne, and just kind of precautionary warning. Terminal radar site also kind of shows a little area of potential rotation. So, you know, these radars that are very far away do show something trying up there in the upper atmosphere. I'm just kind of thinking it's more of a precautionary warning, you know, just in case. Just in case this thing does produce a tornado, they're warning it. And like I said, it's not in a bad environment. We looked at this earlier. Definitely not in a horrible environment. Your photograph definitely does look funny. Looks like it's curving the wrong way in the lower levels. But it's not in a bad environment. Temperature dew points might be a little bit high here. Yeah, it looks like that's 58 dew point, 73 temperatures. So that's a pretty high temperature dew point spread. But when you already have a storm being surface-based in that area, that's not really a big problem. Not a lot of lower level wind shear here either, so you know, just a brief tornado risk. Nothing crazy. Just might be able to see a brief tornado. I'm definitely curious to see how strong these storms can get here in Oklahoma. There's a lot of Cape, but there's not a lot of lower level lapse rates, which I kind of feel like might help them struggle a bit. So I'm curious to see how strong they can get to. This one is doing itself very, very well. Very well in this environment. 2-inch hail ongoing in Erie, southeastern Kansas. So that's doing very well in its environment. Let's see here. We did get a new meso analysis, so we can go back and check on that. Let's go check that for Oklahoma. Yeah, still 4,000, 3,000 to 4,000 instability here across much of central and eastern Oklahoma. Still the same amount of supercell composite. Let me go to wind shear. Still good wind shear. I mean, it's not great. It's just enough wind shear to get going with the hail threat, damaging wind threat, and a brief tornado risk. Not enough wind shear to be talking about a strong tour out here yet. Very weak lower level jet. That lower level jet displaced just like we were thinking. Looked like that could have been a problem. Looks like that is a problem. So that's probably why we're not seeing, you know, very, very well organized severe storms. And the max maximum forced area here on 700 millibars is in eastern Oklahoma. You see that actually barely doesn't include that storm in southeast Kansas. So, yeah, most favorable area for storm initiation right now looks to be from southeast Kansas into northeastern Oklahoma. We'll have to see if any of these updrafts further south, any of these guys can stay strong enough to go severe in the future. But the favorite area right now for severe weather is northeastern Oklahoma until that cold front comes in tonight or later this evening. Once that cold front comes in, that's when storms explode out here in Oklahoma. Where's that cold front now? Well, I could tell you it's definitely still up here somewhere. I can see from these MEDARs that it's definitely back in here. It's not into eastern Oklahoma yet. There's actually a very, very good look at it. You could see your low pressure up in here, and your cold front is somewhere back down in here, but it's not fully formed just yet. It's very, very weak. It's very weak. Because you have a dry line. It's a dry line cold front. So your dry line is why storms are initiating now. And then your cold front comes in later this evening. And you could see that pushes storms off to the east. And it takes a lot of instability with it too. Somehow we still recover great for tomorrow's threat. But here's the thing. Tomorrow's threat's very, very conditional. And I don't think there's going to be much that actually happens out there. Only threat in Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas. It's really just this conditional area right in here. Oklahoma should have clear skies tomorrow. Oh, a little isolated storm in Texas, but that could easily not happen. The NAM also shows that isolated severe threat in Arkansas tomorrow. Tornado threat, yeah, things should start ramping up by later this evening. After 5 o'clock is really our main threat for severe weather today. These storms in Kansas and Oklahoma have fired quite a bit early. Oh, got a report here from 8 minutes ago. A wall cloud from Spotter Network. I don't really know where that would be for. I'm assuming that that might be for the northern storm. Because I don't really know where else there would be a wall cloud there. That report definitely... Oh, well, there you go. 11 minutes ago, wall cloud. So, yeah, definitely for the northern storm. We'll see if it latches onto this boundary. It looks like it's attempting to here in Elkhart, Iowa. This storm definitely will stay more elevated, but this storm might be trying to go more surface-based, and these storms are definitely more surface-based. These guys are early. These guys are extraordinarily early. It is not 6 o'clock. You see the HRRR really fired them at 6 o'clock. These guys are very, very early out here in southwest Iowa. I was not thinking these would be firing anytime soon. So that's very, very early risk for severe storms there. Observed sounding from central Oklahoma still, or from northeastern Oklahoma rather, still shows weak lower level wind shear. You're still looking at about 90 surface to 1 kilometer wind shear, which, like I said, it's not horrible, but it's not really sufficient for a good tornado threat. You really want over 150 for a sufficient tornado threat. Yeah, so there's your area of rotation. The only reason why I'm calling that rotation is actually because it's tornado warned. If it wasn't tornado warned, I wouldn't say that's rotation. I'd say it's corruption. Because when you're looking this far with the radar sight, it very, very easily could be corruption. But it is actively tornado warned here. Still for Scotch Ridge and Woodside surrounding areas in northwestern Ohio. Be in your safe spot there. And again, starting to watch this storm a little bit closer here in Elkhart. It's attaching to these boundaries here. So that area of interest is right where I circled, moving off to the east-northeast towards Collins in central Iowa. Otherwise, still that tornado watch hasn't fully gotten back yet. But like I said, you're still under a tornado watch down there. If it attaches, that means the storm will move more right. It could start moving a bit more to the due east, yeah. Yeah, it could already... Right now, it's definitely moving more east, but yeah, if it attaches, it could start moving more due east. Right now, moving northeast, could start moving east. But the big thing is, if it attaches to those boundaries, the tornado threat could increase with it. It's an extraordinarily conditional significant tornado threat from this storm. It would be extraordinarily conditional. So boundaries basically have vorticity with them, which can actually help increase the amount of available rotation for a storm. So if a storm latches on to a boundary, that storm has a better chance to be tornadic than if it wasn't on a boundary. How's today been? Well, it's just getting going. We've already had 2-inch hail in Kansas. We've already had 2.5-inch hail in Iowa, 1.75-inch hail in eastern Nebraska. But storms are just now really starting to get going. We've only had one tornado warning so far today, and that's been the tornado warning that is still active for 8 more minutes here in northwestern Ohio. I want to go check that environment in Iowa because I don't think we've talked a whole lot about Iowa's environment. We've talked a lot about Oklahoma's and some about Ohio's, but not a lot about Iowa's environment. What you can see... Oop, hold on. New tornado warning in Ohio. This is for another little area near North Baltimore, so be in your safe spot. If you're in either one of those tornado warnings in northwest Ohio, that's another tornado warned storm. So 2 tornado warnings along that cluster now in northwest Ohio. But yeah, you can see here in Iowa, it doesn't look like that warm front's really creating a problem with boundaries anymore. You could see 2 hours ago with that storm in central Iowa, how it was actually getting a bit north of the front. Now, it looks like we have maybe... I doubt it's your warm front, right? Let me go see what the Weather Prediction Center says. I don't feel like that's a warm front. It's a cold front, warm front. Cold front, warm front, because you have another low pressure in northern Michigan. So there's a low pressure up here, and that's creating and helping our cold front, warm front right down back in here. And then that stretches all the way down until you get to your low pressure, roughly somewhere in that vicinity. I don't know exactly where it is. It looks like it's somewhere in this vicinity here. And then your cold front is not yet fully formed, so it's actually a dry line that is currently there, southwest of that low. Your cold front hasn't formed yet, at least not very, very well. If it is a cold front, it's a very, very weak one. I mean, yeah, actually, yeah, you could see the change in wind directions here from southwest to, you could see barely the edge of this wind barb is westerly, and the ones you can't see is west southwesterly. So there definitely is a front here. Definitely is a front here. And wind shear is not that bad once you get into eastern Iowa. It's not that bad. Hmm. I'm going to get a sounding on that. Let me go back to that storm in Iowa. Which one is it? One just north of Des Moines. So this one right in here. 89 0 to 1. I mean, it's not atrocious, but it's still pretty rough. Like I said, eastern Iowa, a bit better of a hodograph, way better of a hodograph in eastern Iowa compared to central Iowa. Yeah, and that's why you're not really seeing much rotation with this. But again, if it does continue to latch onto that boundary, could have an increased tornado threat with it. So just watch out for these storms here. If you're in northern Ohio, just watch out. These storms are moving through across this area. Severe storms of 60 to 70 miles per hour. Hail upwards of 1.5 inches in diameter. And a few tornadoes, all possible as these move through northern Ohio. And this could extend into Cleveland. May even extend into Cleveland depending how long these storms last. The HRRR, man, I mean, it's consistently wanted supercells in central Ohio, and I'm not buying it. I'm not buying those supercells north of Pittsburgh down in here. I don't think we're going to see those supercells form over in here. Now, yeah, there is a chance up here for some supercells. You can already see we're starting to see some prefrontals here in front of the MCV. But I'm not buying the HRRR with the two lone supercells in eastern Ohio, western PA. And even if that did happen, the first one wouldn't have a good tornado threat, but that second one would right here at 6 o'clock Eastern. I mean, the HRRR is just, right now, it's dead wrong. Because this is what it thinks the radar's looking like here. Specifically looking at this area. And if we go back to the actual radar out here, you can see storms are already starting to fire west of Kansas City. And we already have a bunch of storms firing in southwestern Iowa. Also going to watch out for a mesoscale discussion up here. They already have one out here for Missouri. A severe potential will increase in the next few hours. A watch is likely. A large hail is the main threat. Upwards of 2 to 3.5 inch hail. A brief tornado or two. And wind gusts of 55 to 70 miles per hour possible. And this could be a severe watch or a tornado watch. I have a pretty good feeling it's going to be a severe watch. That tornado threat is definitely possible to ramp up late in the evening. And you can see, actually, look at that. There is a cold front. They've got this tiny little cold front marked right here. Very weak, tiny cold front sparking up in eastern Kansas. I'm going to close that. There we go. Yeah, still no increase in rotation with that storm northeast of Des Moines, Iowa. And just be in your safe spot if you're in either one of these tornado warnings. This northern one is now expired, so we're down to one tornado warning now. I just heard another beep. I think that was it expiring. Yeah. So that tornado warning's expired out in this area. This southern warning for North Baltimore is still in effect, though. Oop, don't want to pull that up. By the way, we just got the preliminary rating for our intense, now confirmed intense tornado from Union City, Wisconsin, east of La Crosse, Wisconsin. That has been rated a 140 mile per hour low wind EF3 tornado. I wonder if that, okay, it didn't appear up in here. But that is your first preliminary rating. Yes, the Union City one. Which I gotta say, it is a little bit on the lower end than what I was expecting, but still, it is an intense rating, which is what we were thinking. Yeah, it is preliminary, so it's very much subject to change. Every new run that comes in on the HRRR looks messier and messier for today. And I would guarantee that's because of this extra junk that we've seen here in southwest Iowa and the extra severe stuff that we've seen in southeast Kansas and northeast Oklahoma. Pez, you gonna go chase the apparent HRRR supercell here in an hour and a half north of Pittsburgh? Caleb, I think it's just you right now. Legacy's getting close to getting out of school. Brooklyn was here. I don't know if Brooklyn's still in here. Near Ashland, Ohio. Yeah, but see, the direction of these are northeast, right? Yeah, and there's 4 of them, too, so I doubt that's going to be semi-discrete. I can mod chat, Caleb. I'm good. I've done it before, believe me. I've very much done it before. Okay, so then you're definitely not chasing Pez. I mean, Nightbot is a half mod. I wouldn't consider it a full mod. Tornado warning, I believe, is continuing now. Yep. So they've continued that tornado warning here in northwest Ohio for areas you see on your screen flashing in the red and pink. So just remain in your safe spot if you're around that area. Still pretty populated tornado warning there. Yeah, over 11,000 people. Special MCD for this area. Not really anything too high end, but it is an MCD specifically for this area. Highlighted in red, a locally favorable environment for supercells. In that area, you see highlighted in red in northern Ohio. The potential for 55 to 70 mile an hour winds, 1 to 1.75 inch hail, and a brief tornado or two all remain possible. Any supercells that evolve in this corridor could pose the risk for a tornado or two in the next couple hours. This is in effect until 6:30 Eastern. So that goes till 6:30 Eastern, the next 2 hours. A little less than the next 2 hours. Um, also, wanted to go take a look at the GFS long range because everybody's favorite place to storm chase may be returning towards, oh boy, the end of April. Well, that's never ended well. This is on April 26th. I just had to check April 27th. I had to look. I had to look. Oh boy, look at that one. That's crazy. Yeah, that's the GFS just doing some stupid stuff right there. Don't worry about that. But that's April 27th on the GFS. I would be watching Dixie Alley, but there's no reason to be worried about it. You can see there is definitely a signal for the potential of severe weather towards April 25th and 6th in Dixie Alley. So if you live out there, just keep an eye on it. No reason to get all worked up. It's far out. A lot's going to change. Just know that there is a signal for severe weather, probably for Dixie Alley, like I said, going towards the last few days of April, the beginning of the last week of April. But first, we got to get through our severe threat today. Here's today. Got to get through our conditional severe threat tomorrow out there in Arkansas, and that potentially better threat for severe weather in New York. Friday. Definitely got to get through Friday. Saturday out there somewhere in the eastern Midwest into the northwestern Mid-Atlantic, southwestern New England states. And then Sunday will be a break day. Monday will probably be a break day. Tuesday, we're probably going to see... Second, right here. Just do that. There we go. Wednesday, we'll probably see an increase in the opportunity for severe weather going into the middle of next week, somewhere out here in the plains. And that could shift back into the southern plains and then eventually into Dixie Alley as we head into the last week of April. So opportunities for severe weather definitely going to continue. But this stretch of severe weather that we're dealing with still isn't going to end until Sunday. Sunday will finally be the end of our stretch of severe weather that we've been dealing with since Saturday. So that's a full 8 days of straight severe weather being possible. And it will finally come to an end as we go into Sunday morning. So, a full week, actually. Like an exact week. Exact week of severe weather. Please tell me I'll get something. You'll get something, Lucy. Eventually. It may take a few more months, but you'll get something. I don't think that's what you wanted to hear. But at least I told you you'll get something eventually, you know? Yeah, you'll probably get some rain. You'll probably get some rain overnight. I wouldn't rule out some damaging winds. It looks very sloppy, but it's definitely possible for, some wind gusts and heavy rain, lightning. But nothing that's fun, none of the fun stuff. More of that annoyance that's just going to wake you up. Oh no, this is tonight. Now that's tonight. For Friday, that's definitely a bit more tricky. But it looks like, knowing your luck, what you've had recently, storms are probably going to die out right when they get to you on Friday. But it's very much possible a QLCS could be possible going through central Illinois and into eastern Missouri on Friday. Oh, we actually did get a tornado watch. Look at that. Didn't see that one coming. Big old tornado watch. All the way from northwest Illinois all the way back down here into Kansas City. 70-mile-an-hour winds, tennis ball-sized hail, and a couple tornadoes possible for over 4.5 million people. This season is so rigged. Yep. Everything dies out right when it gets to you. So there's your new tornado watch. I'll get it up for you in just a second when we get the full thing in. But you can see it's coming in now. This is part of it here, and this is part of it here. It connects, just doesn't connect yet on weatherwise. You can see, finally, the rest of your tornado watch is back here in Oklahoma. It took forever for that to get back in Oklahoma. This is the most boom or bust year. It really is. It really feels like this year has been all about boom or bust, because it's like if storms fire on the warm front, they could be crazy. If they fire north of the warm front, it could just be hail. Storms may fire clustered, which could, kill the tornado threat. It's been very much boom or bust this year. And so far, we've had about 4 risks that have went complete boom. All right, here is your new tornado watch. It's still coming in on the SPC site, but you can see it right there. This red area here, now under a tornado watch. Far eastern Kansas into west northwest Missouri, into central and southeastern Iowa, and then into far northwestern Illinois. I think maybe 1 county. Yeah, a singular. Oh, no, 2 counties in Illinois. And I don't have the probs on that just yet. There we go. Probability 40-20, 50-20, and 50-40. I think that's the same as our tornado watch down here. Whoa, my bad. Tornado watch down here in Oklahoma. 40-20, 50-20, 50-40. Yep, it's the exact same. Exact same probabilities as our watch down in Oklahoma. So the main threat by far is hail, followed by damaging winds, and then tornadoes are still very much possible. And both of these watches here in Oklahoma and the one here up into Ohio, or not Ohio. Ohio's in a severe watch. The one back up here into Iowa and Illinois, both of them have a low chance for a strong tornado. Ohio is in a severe watch, which, by the way, no longer any tornado warnings, but man, that's a lot of severes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 severe thunderstorm warnings. No tornado warnings anymore, though. Afton, Iowa. Oh yeah, we've been watching these storms go up for a while. But they're very early. Like I said, we were expecting them closer to 5, 6 o'clock. They started at like 3:30. They started about an hour, 15 minutes ago, roughly. We'll get a new HRRR run here in about 10 minutes. I mean, it makes sense that they're trying to intensify. That's probably also what helped promote our tornado watch. But again, both tornado watches are fairly low. We're just looking at a brief tornado or 2, maybe 1 strong. Nothing too crazy, but definitely something that you're going to want to keep a very, very close eye on if you live in the watched areas. So, yeah. What do you mean 5 sig? No, when you have 2 large tornado watches, no, I'm not shocked it's 5 sig one. I agree with it. Concerned for Friday? Yeah, definitely. Not as concerned for Friday as I was yesterday, but still concerned for Friday. It's a huge enhanced risk with a SIG risk already added on a day 3 outlook. So any Any enhanced day 3's got my attention. I think Friday is now just on the downtrending side. Well, see, this is normally how severe weather events go. If you got a day 6 risk highlighted, day 6, it looks great. Day 5 starts downtrending. Day 4 keeps starting to downtrend and then maybe uptrends, once you get towards the end of day 4, like yesterday's was starting and trying to do. And then, day 3 downtrends. And then guess what day 2 does? Uptrends again. And then guess what day 1 probably is going to end up doing? It's probably going to be like a little wonky down and uptrend on day 1. Day 1 is always a little wonky where things go, oh, uptrend in the morning. Oh, downtrend. Oh, uptrend, downtrend. Oh, what do you know? It's exactly what we expected. Like yesterday. So it's always, severe weather is always a roller coaster. It's never like a risk. A risk will rarely go from day 6. And then from day 6 to day 1, it's just a straight downhill. And it's straight downtrend. It's rare. And it's also rare that a risk goes from like a day 6 normal risk to straight uptrend. It's always this wonky roller coaster where you have these different waves of uptrends and downtrends. So I wouldn't be shocked if we see an uptrend tomorrow or tonight. Now that we've downtrended, we're probably going to go an uptrend again. It happens like almost nearly every risk. Nearly every risk. When it uptrends the next day, it's going to downtrend. And then when it downtrends the next day, it's going to uptrend. And it's just like that wave train until you get to the day 1. And everybody's like, oh, it's crazy. Never mind, it's over. Oh, it's crazy. Never mind, it's over. Nothing's going to happen. And then it finally comes back to a normal, severe risk. That's what both yesterday and Monday did. And that's how winter storms are too. That's just weather as a whole. Models trying to figure out what's going to happen. That's just what severe weather is. Yeah, I actually wanted to look at the NAM. I forgot the 18Z is in now for Friday. Thanks for reminding me. Here's the new NAM 3K for Friday. Golly! Definitely still a widespread severe. That is probably one of the most widespread severe threats we've had all year. The only exception is maybe March 10th. I believe that's the correct date. Maybe except March 10th. And actually maybe the moderate in the New England states too. That one was very widespread as well. But this is definitely one of the more widespread severe threats that we've seen so far this year. I mean, it's a huge risk area on day 3. Huge. All the way from northwest Wisconsin to the border of Mexico, Texas. Huge risk in terms of size. What about the parameters here? I mean, definitely a big uptrend for Wisconsin. But guess what Wisconsin's risk is probably going to do tonight? Oh, it's uptrended. You know, never mind. It's going to go from uptrend to downtrend. We'll see. That downtrend might start tomorrow for Wisconsin. We'll see. It's just going to keep doing this back and forth. That's what it does. That's just what models do until we eventually figure out the main risk area. The main risk area could be up here in Wisconsin and Iowa. The main risk area could be back here. Main risk area could be towards the tail end of the cold front. Or shoot, the main risk area could even be down here along the dry line. I mean, you've got multiple different areas that we have to watch for big uptrends and downtrends to occur. Which is why the SPC has just said, you know what? We're just going to highlight the whole area. We're just going to highlight the whole region for the chance of severe weather. And then confidence is highest in this orange area, which they did shift further up to the northeast. And if we keep seeing a trend like the NAM 3K, where we keep seeing an uptrend and the potential for strong tornadoes in Wisconsin and damaging winds, that enhanced risk may slowly start to go even more to the northwest. But very, very notable uptrend for Wisconsin on that new run. Very, very notable uptrend. I'm guessing your trough turned more negatively tilted or something. Aha. Your trough trended south, which actually allowed for better defluence aloft and better forcing from what looks to be a short wave in Wisconsin. Look at the 700 millibar. Yep, definitely a short wave in Wisconsin with that one. For sure. Let's see here. Starting to get more iffy if there's going to be a moderate for Friday. We've got plenty of time for this to trend towards a moderate or away from a moderate. But the point being is there's just a big risk for severe weather on Friday, and it's likely to be significant, at least for damaging winds and hail. And probably at least the chance for, at least one or two strong tornadoes somewhere within that risk area, whether it be Wisconsin or Oklahoma. Yeah, that's crazy. Lucky is crazy. Every day I figure that out even more and more. Oh, Pez, stop acting like you're nice. Appreciate you saying good catch, but quit acting like you're nice to me. Come on. This dude. High risk is the ceiling. I mean, yeah, high risk is the ceiling, but also note if the cold front crashes, like a slight risk is the floor. So, yeah, when you point out the ceiling, don't just point out the ceiling. Also point out like the potential for a downtrend. Like yesterday, I pointed out the fact that it was a very high ceiling, and I was pretty confident in Friday being a significant threat. But I noted that it could downtrend, and if it does downtrend, we're definitely not going to see a day 3 moderate, and we definitely did not see a day 3 moderate because we trended towards a crashing cold front. Basically, the potential for the cold front to wipe out the open warm sector before discrete supercells can fire. So I'm very curious to see if the new HRRR is going to account for those storms that have already fired there. It looks like it's not going to. Very curious to see if it does, though, account for those storms that have already fired in southwest Iowa and northwest Missouri. All right, let's go back over here. Got a new severe warning for Liberty just north of downtown Kansas City, Missouri. And I think downtown Kansas City, Missouri, part of you guys are included in that severe thunderstorm warning. This storm's main threat will by far be hail and damaging winds. Tornado threat will be extraordinarily low with this storm. I agree, Jake. We just have to see how it trends. That's the thing. It's a watch and wait ordeal. It's classic weather. It could downtrend, it could uptrend, it could stay the same, and it could be all these different things, but really, you just got to keep an eye on it, be weather aware, and wait. Wait until the day comes. And you figure out what's the most likely outcome. Well, the HRRR initiated a little bit better on our storms in southwest Iowa, but still failed to realize the coverage of these storms. And still watching this storm here in central Iowa as it is still attempting to attach to a boundary. That other boundary actually might go more like this. I wonder what CSU has. Wonder what that has. Okay, that's very different. So that has the greatest probability in eastern Iowa for Friday, northeastern Missouri, western Illinois. But that enhanced still goes up into Wisconsin, and it actually has a little hatched area there on the dry line. It almost has a 10% tour in western Illinois. It does have a 45 hail risk in northeast Missouri, and then it has enhanced for wind in western Illinois. I have a pretty good feeling this is going to change a lot, though. Definitely a lot to disagree with on that, CSU. Definitely changed a lot. Look at the difference between this morning and the new run. So, It's CSU. I mean, it changes so frequently, and I bet it's going to change a lot because I don't agree with much of that outlook. All right, let's see the new HRRR again here. Yeah, it's not doing well with the fact that we've already seen overconvection across Iowa. It is not doing good with that. Not doing good with that at all. Huh. Look at Northeast Ohio. Look at that. Been a hot minute since I've seen a supercell like this up here in northeastern Ohio. Not a lot of lower level wind shear. So tornado threat is low with it, but definitely non-zero. Wind shear is ramping up quite a bit more, so that actually has a chance to do something. That wind shear in the lower levels definitely ramped up. What do you think of a day 2 moderate? Here's the thing. I don't know where I would place it, and I don't know what the hazard would be, so I doubt it. Yeah, it's possible, but the thing is, I don't think any hazard is high enough to be a moderate right now, and I don't know where I'd place that with the amount of uncertainty that we have. Unless we see a notable consistency on our cams over the next 12 hours and, you know, they continue to uptrend. I don't see any need for a moderate at all anymore. Like I said yesterday, there was a chance for a day 3 moderate if things continue to uptrend, but they definitely didn't. They downtrended quite severely. And now we're probably, you know, like I said earlier, we're probably starting a little bit of an uptrend. We'll just have to see how long that uptrend lasts and if it's enough for the SPC to consider a moderate, which I doubt it. I doubt it, honestly. What run, Grumpy Grandpa? I've seen 18Z for most runs. Seen the HRRR, the NAM 3K. Yeah. HRRR one, yep, we saw that. That's actually a good prefrontal right there. That would be a serious tornado threat. That would be a very serious tornado threat right there. That would be a very, very serious tornado threat because that is a big prefrontal. Very big prefrontal. Well away from the cold front slop back up into northern Iowa and Wisconsin. I didn't realize till right now how big of a tor threat that would be. Just a little bit of mid-level wind shear. I mean, 1,057 wind shear never hurt anybody. just a little bit of 0 to 3 kilometer SRH. Just a bit. What the heck? Good old HRRR, man. Gotta love it. Might have to go to a different site, get a sounding on that. Golly. That's crazy. 1.75 inch hail, significant severe just issued now for Twinsburg, Garfield Heights, and surrounding areas in northeastern Ohio. There's definitely a point where you get too much wind shear, though. That's kind of insane. That's a lot of shear. Definitely a lot of shear. Go back here again. I mean, I think this is going to be a lot more messy than what the HRRR is predicting here. The area I'm most uncertain about is western Missouri. That's probably where my most uncertainty lies today. And I feel like Oklahoma has trended more slopfest because of those storms earlier today. They've left definitely lesser instability here in Oklahoma than what there once was, and probably also left at least some sort of cool pooling. But you can see if we do get a discrete storm getting going here, we could see some large hail up to 3 inches in diameter, a brief tornado or two, maybe one strong, and up to 70 mile an hour, 70, 75 mile an hour wind gusts, if a storm can really take advantage of that environment and be all on its own. So, yeah, we'll monitor that too. I'll keep a close eye on it, but if you guys have any more questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. I'm probably not going to stay live much longer, honestly. I'll kind of just monitor it, and if the threat starts popping off, I'll go live. Today's not really one of those days where I'm confident in a tornado threat developing, so I want to stay here for like 8 hours. I don't really want to do that. I did see yesterday went crazy. I wasn't paying attention as much to radar as I should. I definitely should have went back live towards 10 or 11 o'clock when we had those two significant tornadoes ongoing, one in Michigan, and then there was another one somewhere else, I think, maybe in Michigan as well. But I wasn't paying enough attention to radar, so I ended up missing it and didn't go live for it because I completely and utterly missed it. And by the time I saw it, it was already lifted. So I probably should have went live again last night, but it is what it is. It's the past. You can't go back in the past and fix what you messed up. So it is what it is. I was live for 7, 8 some hours yesterday. Tired, exhausted, and like I said, plus I think those were pretty close to 11 o'clock. So I was getting ready to go to sleep. 11 o'clock, midnight. That stuff was still popping off as I fell asleep. But there's all your tornado watches that are in effect. 2 tornado watches, very large chunk of Missouri, Oklahoma, and Iowa under the gun for a brief tornado or two today. These are not high-end tornado watches. These are not the type of tornado watches where we are talking about intense tornadoes or multiple strong tornadoes. We are talking about large hail upwards of 2.5, 3 inches in diameter if storms can be discrete. Damaging winds will also be a big problem. 60 to 70 miles per hour possible. A gust up to 75 miles an hour can't be ruled out. and then a few tornadoes, maybe one strong, are all possible. So it is still a good severe weather threat, but it is not one of those upper echelon severe weather threats where you really have to be concerned. But it is definitely a day where you want to be weather aware if you live in that purple area or in the pink area for this severe thunderstorm watch up here. But I think this is probably all the watches we'll see today. The only other area I would guess for the potential of a severe watch is back in here. If these storms do congeal up into a line across this area and move towards Missouri, there's a chance we see a severe watch continued further into Illinois late tonight, late this evening, and into the early overnight hours. But I don't know about that because storms are probably going to be pretty sloppy when they grow upscale. Like, I don't know if this would warrant a severe thunderstorm watch or not for eastern Missouri and Illinois. It might. It might. I wouldn't rule out if we get another watch tonight. Like I said, it's probably going to be like right in here. Probably going to be from central Missouri all the way up to central northern Illinois. Yeah, Caleb, I do think there's a chance you get in a severe watch, and I think there's a chance you could get an MCD. That would probably be close to 7 central. So about 2.5, 3 hours from now, you could probably get an MCD. Depending on what storms look like. Yeah, plenty of severe thunderstorms right now. We're up to 27 severe thunderstorm warnings. So full-fledged severe weather event ongoing right now. But yeah, I've been streaming so much. If this was like the only severe threat in the week, yeah, I'd sit here for 5+ hours tracking these severe storms with y'all. But considering there's a little tornado threat and we have a giant outbreak possible on Friday, yeah, I'm just going to stay here for a little bit longer and then head off and get some stuff done. And then tomorrow there's a 50-50 on a live stream. If I go live tomorrow, there's a higher chance I go live tomorrow to talk about Friday than I actually do to go live tomorrow to cover the severe threat. So I would say, I'd say there's a little bit better chance I go live than I don't. So I'd say there's like a 60% chance I go live tomorrow, 40% chance I don't. Because I know a lot of people are going to be wondering about Friday's severe threat. And then we may also have a few severe storms to track in New York in the late afternoon, early evening hours. See you later, Critty. Have a great rest of your day. I'm not going to plan to be back tonight because, like I said, it's not one of those days where I'm expecting a notable tornado threat to develop. But you never know. We could get that random crazy storm that latches onto a boundary and absolutely goes crazy. But look at this. Like, this is a storm that is on a boundary in a decent environment and looks like a supercell and is relatively semi-discrete with the exception of a new storm that's fired in front of it. And even a storm like this can't produce a tornado in this environment. So that gives me very, very, very little expectations for today. If a storm like that can't even rotate well at all. That shows me the type of environment we have. And still, I mean, if anything's going to go tornado warned when I hop off, it's going to be this storm right here. Now warned for 2.5-inch hail. If anything ends up getting warned right as I head off, it's going to be this guy as it moves to the east. Because that looks pretty significant for hail, isolated damaging winds, and maybe a tornado. What does the HRRR have for that? Look at that. What do you know? The new HRRR completely took away all those supercells north of Pittsburgh. Most of them are just moderate rain showers with a isolated chance for a supercell to form. What do you know? See, told you. Told you not to believe it. I told you. So, again, they could issue, actually, another area they may issue a watch at is back up in here if these storms start to strengthen, but it doesn't look like that. But generally, if you're not in a watch area, another area I would watch is just out in here for those leftover storms later tonight. If we get an EDS severe, would you come back? I mean, if it's a very significant severe, maybe, but the severe storms, I mean, the only time I've actually been back for a severe storm is when we had two 100-mile-per-hour PDS EDS severes. That is the only time I've came back for an urgent severe weather coverage, completely unplanned, for just a severe storm. Most of the time, it's the tornado warnings, PDS tornado warnings in particular, that I come back on for. Like I said, I'm not going to guarantee it. I won't guarantee it at all. I doubt we end up getting a bunch of tornado warnings. You know, we could get a few, some in Iowa and Missouri, some out in this area, and then maybe one or two back up in here. So, like, we could get up to, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 tornado warnings active at once if things really pop off. But I doubt any of those. I doubt we'll see a really good tornado threat today, like what we saw yesterday and Monday. I don't know. All I remember only one time where I went live again for just severe warnings, where there wasn't any tornado warnings and it was just severe weather popping off. I might have went live one time for like a crazy hailstorm in Texas. That's very much possible, and I just don't remember that well. But like I said, typically for urgent streams, it's gonna be the PDS tornado warnings that get me on here. Like last night at midnight, I was watching as long as I could, barely awake at midnight, watching for a PDS tornado warning just in case. But one never came, so I fell asleep. For all I know, we did have one last night. I mean, I didn't hear anything about anything more than like past 12:30. I didn't hear anything about tornadoes. I did hear like we had some warnings near Detroit last night, but the main activity I heard of was back in here between like 10:30 and 12:30. Big time hail core right there. Oof. Wouldn't be shocked if this goes destructive here. Huge hail falling with that storm. 2.5 inches in diameter there. Big old hail core. What DBZ is that? It's got to be like 75. 76. There is another storm west of Cleveland, but this one's not as far out as the one east of Cleveland. This storm's training over a cool pooled area, so this could still get pretty strong, but it's not in as good of an environment as the storm in front. Pez, go chase that. That's close to you, isn't it? Can't be that far from you. Where's my phone at? Let's see how far this is from Pez's house. Let's see. If I were Pez, would I chase this? Would it be worth it? I don't know exactly where you are right now. So I'm just guessing roughly. That is the wrong area. I'm like, it is not 6 hours away. There's no way. It is barely, but it's between 2.5 hours from you. Yeah, I would chase that 10 out of 10 times if I were you. I have gone 4 hours for a slop fest before, so I would definitely go for that if I were in your position. I mean, if I look at the morning runs, yeah, I would have already been out there. I would have already been in like around the Cleveland area. I would have been in Cleveland at 3 o'clock. I mean, now that it's formed, by the time you get there, you know, you would probably you'd probably want to target Meadville, Pennsylvania, because it's probably going to be there in roughly 2 hours. Severe storm mayhem out here in southeastern Kansas. Northeastern Oklahoma. But like I said, I'll watch this stuff. If it really starts going crazy tornado-wise, I'll hop back on here. Let me see if we've got any new MCDs before I get off. Let's see here. Oh, we actually do. I actually didn't expect to see a new one. We got a new one here in Oklahoma. This was actually a little bit ago, a little late to this one. Severe wind and hail may accompany the stronger storms. That's not a lot of confidence. A couple tornadoes are still possible. And you can see they highlight northeastern Oklahoma, southeastern Kansas for the greatest threat. And if any supercells and discrete storms do form, you can't rule out a tornado, especially if it persists just before sunset. I also did see that new severe in Wisconsin, too. That's what I was talking about for maybe a new severe watch up there. But, all right. I'm going to go ahead and head to the ending scene. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I know this was definitely a little bit of a shorter live stream. But I wanted to hop on here and at least just let y'all know about the severe threat and cover it forming. There's a small chance I'll be back on here later on today. So make sure you have that notification bell set to all. Don't be surprised if you see me back on here later on. Outside of that, I was about to say I will for sure be live tomorrow. I may be live tomorrow. There's about a 60% chance I go live tomorrow. So just make sure you have that notification bell set to all, just in case I do go live. If I go live tomorrow, there's a better chance I'll go live tomorrow to talk about Friday than if I go live tomorrow to actually cover a severe threat. If I don't see you tomorrow, I will for sure 100% see you on Friday. So I look forward to covering that severe weather threat with you guys on Friday, maybe even being live tomorrow. Thank you, Mods for Mod and Chat, and everybody for being here. If I don't see you later today, I hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday. And if I don't see you tomorrow, have a great rest of your Thursday. I'll catch you guys tomorrow or Friday. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye. Stay safe, watch the severe weather, and I'll see you in the next live stream that I do. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Goodbye.